For over 1,000 years, while Europe stumbled through the Dark Ages, one empire kept the lights on. They had Greek fire that burned on water, a legal system that still shapes our laws today, and a capital city so wealthy crusaders couldn't resist sacking it, even though those crusaders were supposed to be on the same side. This is the Byzantine Empire, misunderstood, underestimated, and one of the greatest civilizations in human history. Here's something they probably didn't teach you in school. The Byzantines never called themselves Byzantine. They called themselves Romans. When the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 AD, its eastern half didn't fall with it. It kept going for another 1,000 years from its glittering capital of Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul. The term Byzantine was invented by historians centuries later, mostly to separate it from ancient Rome. But the people living there believed deeply and fiercely that they were the direct continuation of Rome itself. And in many ways, they were absolutely right. They preserved Roman law, Roman administration, Roman roads, but over the centuries, the culture became deeply Greek-speaking and Orthodox Christian, something entirely its own. Think of it this way. Byzantium was Rome 2.0, patched, updated, and running in a completely different world. The empire's greatest moment came under Emperor Justinian I, who ruled from 527 to 565 AD. Justinian was consumed by one obsession: restoring the old Roman Empire to its former glory. His brilliant general, Belisarius, reconquered North Africa, retook Italy, and pushed into Spain. For one blazing moment, the Mediterranean was a Roman lake again. But Justinian's most enduring legacy wasn't military, it was legal. He commissioned the Corpus Juris Civilis, a sweeping codification of Roman law that became the backbone of legal systems across Europe and Latin America. If you've ever signed a contract or stood in a civil court, you're living inside Justinian's world. Then there's the Hagia Sophia. Built in just 5 years, it was the largest cathedral on Earth for nearly 1,000 years. Its massive dome seemed to float in midair, held up, people whispered, by invisible chains from heaven. But ambition always has a price. Wars drained the treasury dry. A devastating plague, possibly the first bubonic pandemic in recorded history, swept through the empire, killing millions. By the time Justinian died, his grand reconquest was already crumbling. Still, at its peak, Byzantium was the wealthiest, most sophisticated state in the known world. After Justinian, the empire faced enemies on every frontier and never stopped fighting. To the east, the Sassanid Persian Empire. To the north, Slavic tribes and the Bulgarians. To the west, the Lombards picked apart Italy. Then, in the 7th century, a new and extraordinary force changed everything: Islam. Within decades of the Prophet Muhammad's death, Arab armies swept across the Middle East, seizing Syria, Egypt, and North Africa with breathtaking speed. These weren't just military defeats, they were the permanent loss of the empire's richest provinces. Egypt alone had fed the empire for generations, gone practically overnight. The Byzantines adapted brilliantly. They shrank, reformed, and survived. The theme system divided provinces into military districts where soldiers were also granted land, creating a leaner, more sustainable army rooted in the soil it defended. And they wielded a terrifying secret weapon: Greek fire, a mysterious incendiary substance launched from ships, burning even on water. It devastated Arab naval assaults and saved Constantinople more than once. To this day, its exact formula remains one of history's greatest unsolved mysteries. But the 11th century brought a wound from which Byzantium never fully healed. In 1071, at the Battle of Manzikert, Byzantine forces were crushed by the Seljuk Turks. Asia Minor, the empire's heartland, its core, was lost almost overnight. Desperate, Emperor Alexios I did something that would haunt his successors for generations. He wrote to the Pope and asked for help. The response was the First Crusade. The Crusaders helped, But they also helped themselves, carving out their own kingdoms and treating Byzantine interests as an afterthought. Then came 1204, the single greatest catastrophe in Byzantine history. The Fourth Crusade, which was supposed to reclaim Jerusalem, never got there. Instead, the Crusaders turned on Constantinople itself. For 3 days they sacked the city, looting centuries of wealth, burning manuscripts, smashing irreplaceable art. A Latin empire was installed in Constantinople. The Byzantines fled into exile. The empire that reconquered its own capital in 1261 was a hollow ghost of what it had once been. The trust, the wealth, the territory, all gone. The final chapter opened with the rise of the Ottoman Turks. By the mid-15th century, Constantinople was an island surrounded by Ottoman land. Its population had collapsed, its treasury was bare. Its last emperor, Constantine XI, ruled over little more than the city walls and the memories of a 1,000-year legacy. He sent desperate pleas across Western Europe. A few Venetian ships came, a handful of Genoese soldiers. Not nearly enough. On May 29, 1453, after a 53-day siege, Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II broke through the walls. Constantine XI reportedly tore off his imperial insignia and charged into the fighting himself. His body was never identified. The last Roman emperor died defending the last Roman city, not with a long whimper, but under the thunder of Ottoman cannons. When Mehmed rode into the Hagia Sophia, he converted it into a mosque. A civilization that had endured over 1,000 years was over. But here's what most people miss. The Byzantine Empire's knowledge didn't die with it. Scholars fled west into Italy, carrying manuscripts that had been protected for centuries, ancient Greek philosophy, science, medicine, literature. Those texts helped ignite the Renaissance. The fall of Constantinople didn't just end an empire, it helped birth the modern world. Byzantium lasted longer than ancient Rome ever did. It preserved what the ancient world knew. It held back invasions that might have reshaped Europe entirely. And yet, history has largely forgotten it, tucked away between the glory of Rome and the drama of the Middle Ages. Maybe it's time we remembered.